And we're there. Hey, everybody.
Hey.
All right.
How's it going? Here we are. I don't think we have anyone watching yet. So we'll just kind of... So you're getting a hurricane there, Joe?
Yeah, it's blowing in. I can feel it right now. We're about to get hit.
Yeah. Ireland as well, especially the south.
Like an actual hurricane?
300 kilometer mile winds.
Oh my God.
Down in Cork.
Quick, Joe. Can you do the conversion to miles per hour?
That's about 130, 140, isn't it?
Nice one, Johnny.
No.
Yeah.
It's gonna be crazy.
Wow.
Well, welcome everyone. Hello. We're back for our second live stream in our series here, and we're over halfway through our Kickstarter campaign. And it's really incredible because we are like, I don't know, it's something like over 75% funded, which is just so amazing. Thank you to everybody.
Yeah.
Anyways, though, my name's Mike Shimmin. We have John McSherry coming at you from Belfast.
Coming at you.
Joe Dart, where are you again?
I'm in Scotland on the shores of Loch Lomond.
Bonnie,
Beautiful.
Scotland.
And Tyler Duncan from his home studio in Ann Arbor.
Here I am in the cave. Always in the cave.
Always in the cave.
Always in the cave.
How many albums? Yeah, how many albums have you produced this morning, Tyler?
I've worked on 3 different albums this morning so far. Yeah.
And it's only 3:00 here in America. So.
Yeah, that's not ideal though. I like to be a 1 album a day kind of guy, but
yeah. Different album every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, things have been going so amazingly well with the Kickstarter. Where it's so cool that getting messages from all sorts of friends who are just so happy to help us out, and
yeah, it's incredible. Thank you.
Excited to all the different things you can get with it. So this is top secret news. We're not going to show it here, but won't be top secret anymore. But we got some album artwork, and we've got some imagery that'll be coming your way soon, which is looking good. And Tyler, you have been finishing up all your parts, I'd say.
Yeah.
I mean, since we talked last time on this stream. Oh, I gotta look for my comments here. I gotta have the comments here. Hi, everybody. Hi from Denmark.
Yeah.
All right. By the way, please feel free to put any of these questions, any questions you may have for us in these comments, and we will answer them. Wow, Joe just went kind of like
sorry.
Blue man group here.
It's getting a little crazy outside. I had to switch.
Wow, wild.
The storm's starting to come in.
Gosh.
Starting to come down.
You need some shelter from the storm, man. So, since we were here last time, Tyler, you've been finishing up with your basic tracking. Right?
Yeah, finished all. I mean, it's all recorded now. I had to finish recording my guitars, and it takes me a long time to record guitars that I'm happy with. It requires a lot of recording and then redoing, and then listening back and then redoing more. So it took me a long time, but I did it. Finished.
Yep. And then to
got
be
some
clear,
calluses again.
And we've got Tyler and Sean O'Mara both playing guitar on this record. So
yes,
all the parts that require wizardry, guitar. No offense, Tyler, of course, but like we
no offense taken.
We make the young kid take it.
Yeah. Get the whippersnapper out there. Totally. But yeah, we're basically there. We're basically ready for mixing.
Parts are done. Everything's done. In fact, after this live stream, we're going to do one of our Zoom sessions where we've got it set up like it, thanks to modern technology, we can all be looking at Tyler's computer screen like in real time. He can share his screen with us and then share the audio like just directly from his hard drive into our ears, even though we're all in different parts of the world. And we'll kind of be finishing up with last bits of editing and all sorts of things.
Yeah, we're going to be signing off on it tonight, I think, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Boom.
Fun. So, yeah, let's see.
All right, we got a few questions here.
Yeah. I saw
Mike,
one.
Do you want to be question master?
Yeah. Okay.
Great.
Well, now I know a lot of people probably who are at least following us probably know a little bit of the backstory, and we did talk about this last time, but it's a good introductory thing here. Peter says, "Hey guys, super excited. How about this? Yeah, I'm getting pretty good at this.
This is pro. I love it.
I'm new to the olllam, so could you give a quick backstory on the project? Would Tyler or John want to take that one? How about you, John?
John, you go. Yeah.
Very briefly, I've known Tyler for years and years, since he was a whippersnapper, playing Irish music and pipes and all that there. And so he came over a few times to visit me, and we've been talking about doing an album for years. And I think Mike came over one time with him as well, and we were introduced. And
yeah, I came over with I think Millish had a gig over there.
Yep.
Or something.
And we were talking about the album, and there was I think we had a kind of a window where we were all free, and just decided to go for it.
Yeah.
And that we did it, and that was it. And and then we decided to tour it. Would use that's very briefly.
Yeah, that's very
briefly. But it's a lot more detail to it than that there. So
nailed it. Yeah,
that was good.
Yeah,
I mean, like based on sort of started with me and John for our long-standing kind of relationship, and then Mike and I have been playing music for a long time as well. So then it just kind of, and then Joe Dart and I were in another band at the time, and it just kind of was like, this just makes sense to do that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yep. And then that rolls into this next question, which I saw when we did this last time and we didn't get to answer it. But quick question. Irish traditional interest and experience is clear with John and Tyler, but Joe and Mike, did you have any previous interest or experience in the genre prior to the first record? So I'll go first. I was in a band with Tyler called Millish since we were both 19, 18 years old.
A great band as well, I must
Really,
add.
thanks, John.
Yeah.
Thanks, John.
And it started before Tyler had that band going for years before I even joined. And before I met you, Tyler, no, I didn't have much experience, pretty much any experience playing any form of Celtic music or Irish music. And we met. I joined Millish, and then just in the nature of being in a band that plays Irish music, is you're going around and playing all these Irish music festivals, and so you get to meet incredible traditional musicians and then fusion musicians, people that are kind of moving the genre in different directions. And we, I guess I got a good mix of that in that way. So, but yeah, before then, when I grew up, I was into Middle Eastern music. I mean, I was into rock and roll and Middle Eastern music, and Irish music was one thing that was like not in my frame of reference. So,
although your heritage is from the Isle of Man, isn't it?
Very true. The last
Which
name.
Yeah.
My last name.
A step over from Ireland.
I know.
Yeah.
So somehow, like the Manx culture did not, when I was growing up, wasn't really a big thing, more than like the Greek culture was in my family, because I'm like, my family's a pretty big mashup of things. But how about you, Joe?
Yes, I remember seeing Millish. I might have seen Millish when I was in like high school, because growing up in northern Michigan, we had a fair bit of Irish music coming through at both at Blissfest, a traditional folk festival up north that I would go to and then play every summer. And then what was called the McCune Arts Center in Petoskey, Michigan, would have a concert series every summer. And I remember seeing Irish bands come through. I think maybe Solas was one of the bands that, Solas. And
Solus,
among Beoga came through.
And
Millish. I mean, for all I know, I saw both John, maybe and Tyler and Mike play. So that's how much, they were bringing up traditional music during the summer, even in northern Michigan. But also that says how hip I was to what was happening, because at the time I wasn't really aware of who these musicians were and what this scene was. But I was sort of by osmosis, and then in college, playing with Tyler and getting to hear the Millish records. And then, later when these guys asked me to play some bass for a kind of Irish project, I remember being nervous as hell, because it's a totally new world to me musically. And so it's been completely eye-opening. So all that is to say, I basically came from nothing and have been, it's been a musical journey from moment one, and then getting to spend all this time over in Ireland and here in Scotland. Yeah.
I remember, Joe, the first time you sat in a session.
I was going to say, now the only person I've ever seen with an electric bass in a
session.
Pub.
And I think it was the Moxie guys or something. You sat down and you started jamming, and you were in your element, like you're ecstatic.
Hey man, give me a battery powered amp I can stash underneath a bar stool, and I'm gonna join in. Yeah, so it's been an amazing journey. But all that is to say, didn't grow up with it, but have been very lucky as of late.
Yep, same here. Feel so lucky to have so many friends, and so many really good friends in Ireland.
Yeah.
And in Scotland, and where we're lucky enough to play. So cool. So I think I'm seeing I saw a question about what we've advertised for this thing, about the top 10 albums influences, and there were some other questions. What are our influences? And so we did compile our own lists of top 10 favorite albums, and man, that's really hard.
It's so hard.
Really hard thing to do, and I'm like,
it actually hurts. It hurts a little bit. Yeah.
I'm not even sure I'm right.
Leaving out like another 30 that are just like crucial.
I know. Yeah. So how do we want to do this? Tyler, can we? How about we start with you on this?
Sure. Yeah. All right.
So you want to just top 10?
Top 10. And this was, like I said, really hard. And I even made a change today because it was just like bugging me. I was like, this week I was like running and I was like, I got to swap them out, but anyway, and you can't do honorable mentions. So I'm just going to go for it. So in definitely no particular order. These are not rankings.
That's a rule. No particular order.
Emerson String Quartet's album of Debussy and Ravel's string quartets. Debussy and Ravel both only wrote one string quartet, and that album is the album that exposed me to Debussy and Ravel's music and has been a game changer for me, and probably will always be. I cannot get over Debussy and Ravel's music. The Beatles' Abbey Road, one of the first albums I got as a child and listened to endlessly, and very much opened my ears over the course of my life to the possibilities of sound and songwriting and adventures in audio land. Steve Reich's Music for 18 Musicians, the first taste I got of minimalism, really rocked my world. Tracy Chapman, the first album, has Fast Car, Revolution. Maybe the first album I learned all the songs on as a kid. Rocked me. Frank Ocean's Channel Orange. More recent, nice. But like I think totally transformed my concept of lyric writing and what you can do with that. Michael Jackson's Off the Wall is what took me from music school jazz snobbery back into pop music being cool. Astor Piazzolla's 0 Hour exposed me to tango, which just is some of my favorite sounds, favorite chords, melodies. Cornelius's Point. Breakthrough for me in electronic music and arranging and sort of combining minimalism and rhythm and themes in really surprising and unpredictable ways, but you can always kind of follow what's happening, and very conceptual, very cool Japanese artist. Radiohead in Rainbows, just for like rock and roll that's like soulful and like yearning and melancholy, but somewhere uplifting. Like that album has it all for me. And the last one is John Hopkins' Immunity. Woke me up to how alive you can make electronic music sound. His music never sounds like the same thing over and over again. It's like everything's changing and breathing and feels like an organism, which I love.
Yeah, I wasn't familiar with that one actually until I saw the little Instagram post from the olllam account with like the little teaser about this. So I went and checked out some John Hopkins.
It's cosmic, very cosmic.
Yeah, really beautiful. Wow, man.
Great.
Yeah, there we go.
Good man.
I think that was one sentence. I did one sentence each, but they were definitely run-on sentences. I'm sorry.
That's what we're trying to do. Just keep little brief reasons for this. Yeah. Wow, man. Wow. Okay. Well, we got. I'll go next if that's all right with everyone.
Go! I can't wait.
And let's see. I gotta find my list. Okay. So funny, man. We've got some crossover. I figured this would happen, and I know it'll happen. I have a feeling it'll happen with myself and Joe too, but at least once. But yeah, for me, the crossover is Cornelius's Point. My uncle introduced me to Cornelius, who was this Japanese artist. Records everything himself. Generally, is the only player on the album, and just I don't know. It's so interesting and everything. I don't know. We rip him off a lot. I will safely say, but of course we only steal from the best. Another close crossover. I picked Radiohead, Kid A.
Mm-hmm.
That's like one of those ones where it's just like hard to pick. I could have picked there was so many Radiohead albums, really hard for me to pick. That's the one I went with. Maybe it was because of the age I was at when that album came out. You know, it was like 2001. I was 18, or maybe it was before then. But that album blew my mind. Okay, this is a big one for me. The Red Hot Chili Peppers, Blood Sugar Sex Magic. That was the album when I was probably, God, I don't even know, 8, 9, 10 years old. My uncle had it, and he made me a cassette tape of it. And that was the one that I got lost into on a daily basis in my headphones, on my Walkman. And that's one of those albums that I have like every single sonic sound memorized on that album. You know how that happens when you listen to an album like millions of times. I think everything about that album is perfect. Like the playing, the production by Rick Rubin, the writing, you know, just the arrangements. That album. I think
one sentence, Mike. One sentence.
Good. That is, yeah. Okay. All right. Tom Petty, Wildflowers. Similar story. Got it when I was pretty young. Happens to be another Rick Rubin masterpiece. Amazing songwriting. Obviously, of course, Tom Petty, the master. Frank Zappa. This is another hard one. I could have picked probably about 50 different albums, but the one I picked was We're Only in It for the Money. Not sure if there's any Frank Zappa fans out there, but that's an early Zappa record. I highly recommend it. Frank Black, Teenager of the Year, is another one that I got when I was really young. That's a rock and roll album. Frank Black is also known as Black Francis, the lead singer and songwriter from the rock band The Pixies. And one of his solo albums, Teenager of the Year, is just an amazing rock and roll masterpiece. Immigrant Sons, More Than Food. Immigrant Sons were my uncle's band that were probably one of the greatest influences musically in my life. When I was a kid, they played a whole mix of world music and used to get me into their gigs when I was like 12 years old and get me up on stage playing. Did a lot did a lot for me. REM, I'd have to mention. Automatic for the People is just another amazing. It's obviously a lot of people know that album, and you can see the trend here. A lot of these top tens for me are from like my childhood, right? You know, when I was like, I guess, could just really let these albums soak in. And then I had to Nirvana.
Which one? Wow.
I know, right? That's so hard. It's really hard because there's really only a few options. But I'm gonna have to go with. For me, my favorite is actually In Utero. You know, it would be obviously. Nevermind is a masterpiece. I loved Unplugged in New York, but to me, In Utero, of course, it was their last album. Who knows where they might have been now had they, you know, been able to keep going. But I think Dave Grohl is one of the greatest rock and roll drummers of all time, and he really knows how to. He constructs the perfect drum parts every time, and they're orchestrated. And then this is hard. Here's my last one, which is kind of interesting. I'm gonna go with the soundtrack to Pee-wee's Big Adventure, written by Danny Elfman, which was a huge deal for me, both the movie and the music when I was a kid. If you're familiar with the music, you'll know what I mean. And actually, when I was like a young teenager, I had an idea to record myself the whole soundtrack to Pee-wee's Big Adventure on my 4-track at home, just using the instruments I had, so electric guitars, bass, accordions, what I had, just what I had laying around. And I did the first 2, and then I never went beyond that. So maybe that'll be a project I can finish someday. But I do have those on cassette tape. I would like to release them to the world someday. Mm-hmm. So, anyways, yeah, that was all one big sentence. I don't know if you guys knew that.
That was a great big sentence, Mike.
There was only one period in that whole thing.
We have a suggestion here from Shiva to do a few more questions and then kind of do our next top 10 a little later.
That's a great idea. Thank you, Shiva, for
saving
us from ourselves. Yeah.
What else you got there, Mike?
Yeah, let me look here. Let's see. I think while I just peruse the questions, Tyler, would you mind we've had a couple questions actually about the composer producer package reward on our Kickstarter. Would you mind just kind of letting people know what that is really?
Yeah. So, I mean, the idea is basically to give people a chance who are interested in production or composing a full access to the Ollam's writing process and my production process, recording process, from the actual techniques themselves to the concepts, and actually getting to see how it's all done. So it's, and on every level, so like how we conceptualize composing for a project at the front end, how you kind of put a project together and try stuff out, kind of finding a sound. How do you find a sound? When do you know you have a sound? How do you develop that sound? Those kinds of conceptual questions, and how do you kind of write into that and explore it from that place, to how to mic things for, if this gets nerdy, but like mono compatibility, stereo width, and, even that going into like the software and styles of panning or compression or saturation, my favorite plugins, getting to hear our sort of writing process along the way. So getting to hear sort of demos and memos and getting a chance to understand like how things go from a very little tiny seed of an idea to hearing, a record, and getting to see it's like building a house, one sort of level at its layer at a time. And the more you get comfortable with that, the more you can kind of actually enjoy the unknown, which is usually a big problem for people in making things, is the unknown can be scary and kind of a freezing type thing. But when you start to get comfortable with how the unknown becomes known in the process, it can make the process a lot more fun. and you discover a lot of stuff. And so how do you use that to your advantage? So all sorts of stuff. I mean, just kind of going as deep as I possibly can, and trying to I don't have any secrets. I don't believe in secrets. I think the more everybody knows, the more we all help each other make better stuff, which is what I'm in it for. So I'm happy to share as much as I can. And then there's the difference between the silver and the gold packages. In the silver package, you're going to get all these materials and all the stuff to dive into. In the gold package, you're going to actually spend an hour with me in my studio real time, and we're going to get to go through stuff, and you can ask me anything. I'll show you anything, and kind of get even deeper with that live component as well. And you can, of course, do that with some people if you want to all go in on it and pick up a bunch of tricks and stuff that have saved me a lot of time and helped me along the way. So, yeah.
Yeah, I will say working with Tyler in the studio is one of those times when you go in and you know that he's just going to make you sound good, you know. So
that's my hope.
Yeah, well, seems to always work.
Trying my best.
Seems to always work. Yeah. So
interesting to see how
we lost Johnny. Here we're I'm just gonna go ahead and mute him. Just
nice to see everyone coming in the comments. Thanks y'all for joining us. What's up, Alekos?
Nice, Alekos. Great. So what do you got there, Mike? What's a question that's
okay? I just found one. Hang on. Sorry, this is okay. John, are you back with us?
Yes. Sorry, the something started coming through the speakers.
Thought you were going to say something started coming through the window with your hurricane. Okay, well, here's a question I think, John, you should take. It's about Breton influences. Do any of you have a background in Breton traditional music?
Oh, Breton music, yeah. I grew up listening to Breton music.
Could you explain what Breton music is?
Breton music is from Celtic music from a place called Brittany, which is northern France, northern western France. It's very tip, beautiful part of the world. Great music for dancing. They have cool dances where they use their fingertips and you know there's a big circle of like 50 or 60 people in one big circle dancing away.
Show us the.
Yeah.
I thought you were about to.
But very hypnotic music. Beautiful music overall. I first heard a band called Cornog with Jean-Michel Vaillant, a wonderful flute player. I mean, there was a special connection between Brittany and Belfast in particular. You had Jean-Michel Vaillant would come over quite a bit, and we'd go over to Brittany as well, and so there was a great connection there, and we'd all be playing each other's music. So, just a wonderful place.
Awesome.
And John is who introduced me to Breton music, and we talked about it last time a little bit. But the first time he showed it to me, I hated it. It was my birthday present, and I didn't know it was my birthday present. And then it kind of like I got it, you know, a little after that, and fell in love with it. And I actually had the honor and the shame of filling in for an incredible Breton musician, Sylvain Barou, who is a flutist from Brittany, who's just like one of the masters of Breton flute playing. And I had to fill in for him in a band he was in. Was
that the gig that Joe and I were on as well?
Yes. It was
Wires.
I mean, it just filled me with awe for his playing and that kind of playing of music, and also reminded me how I have no clue how to do that. And I had to go do it on stage in front of people, just show them how little I knew about that.
Too?
It's exactly. But it's beautiful, incredible playing and very inspiring.
Awesome.
Mike, I don't know if you're seeing, Martin had a couple questions he wanted us to answer here.
Okay. You want to read one off there for me?
Martin is asking, what DAW does Tyler use, and how many of you have Irish descent? So the first one's really, really fast. I use Cubase, and I'm a huge fan of it. If anybody's not familiar with Cubase or is using Pro Tools or Logic or Ableton, and if you're frustrated there's good news. There is Cubase. And then the Irish descent. Let's kind of all go quick.
Tyler,
what do you think? Yeah.
Remember you discovered.
Oh yeah. Well, I guess I'll go first then. When John and I were writing the tunes for this record in October, we were talking about each other's ancestry, and I don't know, I haven't done my whole ancestry thing yet, but we found out. When people ask me what I'm, I always say I'm Scottish. Are you Irish? No. And it's like, how are you playing Irish music? It's like, I just really like it. I heard Riverdance, and that's the truth, and I really liked it. But John decided to Google my last name, which is Duncan, and we discovered that Duncan is originally an Irish name. Went from Dinkin, it was Dinkin in Ireland, became Duncan in Scotland. Yeah. So
there you go.
Yeah.
The great mystery. Yeah.
That was great. When you discovered that, Tyler, it just made sense. Everything
made so much sense. And I feel like me and Mike have the same thing where we're like, why did we start playing this music? And then you realize like, oh, like fate had this in mind, you know, like our family history was just gonna come out, like just I'm gonna play this music now.
Yep.
Yeah.
How about you, Joe? What any Irish heritage in there? I can't remember.
Yeah, you know, and I'd love to try to trace it a little bit more. I remember my grandmother telling me that I had both Scottish and Irish heritage, which some of my friends over here think that's like the most cliche thing you can say as an American. You know, everyone in America thinks they're Irish, and actually, yeah, in a way, everyone is. That's a whole other thing. But I grew up knowing that I had some roots over in these Fair Isles, but I don't know exactly where. So maybe more trips over here will yield the chance. I mean, we were going to go to Isle of Man with Shimmin, try to trace it a little bit more. So
we will someday.
Unfolding. Yeah,
yep.
It's unfolding.
I remember because we can just get to the Isle of Man via ferry from Belfast. But I think when we were going to do it, and then we found out it's like the ferry only runs like every few days or so, and we had to kind of be out of town.
And then a storm hits and it doesn't run at all, and we got to gig that
night. Exactly. Yeah.
How about you, Mike?
So as John said, the name Shimmin is from the Isle of Man, right across the way from Ireland there. So I do have that. My great grandfather, I think, came from the Isle of Man to Michigan to work in the mines up in the Upper Peninsula before moving to Detroit. His sons then moved to Detroit to work in the factories. And but like I said before, I'm kind of a big mix of things. You know, my grandma is half Greek and half Polish. My mom's side is Pennsylvania Dutch, which is really like Slavic heritage, and you know, just one of those big mixes. So yeah. And John, how about you? Any Irish heritage?
100%.
100%. We got a purebred in the
band. So, okay, here's a great question, and then one more question, and then we're gonna bring in we do have a special guest waiting backstage, folks, that we're gonna bring in. So, okay, here we go. This is a really nice, kind of a deep question from Christian Pierce. In all of your opinions, do you think the new album is best viewed as a continuation of the first album, or thematically significant break from the first? Which I think is a really excellent question.
That is an interesting question. Who wants to go first?
Requires a little bit of thought.
We might all have different answers. I'm kind of curious to see what we all say.
I don't want to go first. Go for it.
Okay. Well, I can say I tend to try to very intentionally, when I'm making anything, not think about the end point very much, if I can avoid it at all. And just kind of let that take care of itself by doing the work that needs to happen now. And so and because we already made this record, and because the record has such a specific sound, I found it was like, I could tell it was gonna be very easy for me to like make a second record and be constantly thinking about how it compares to the first album. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to make an album that was its own thing and wasn't in reference to, wasn't a reaction to, wasn't trying to say anything because the record said something else, whether it's the same thing or a different thing. I wanted it to just be like, what happens if John and Mike and Joe and all of us make a record just now with this music? And so in terms of intention, I tried to not think of it attached in any way. But now that we kind of know how the record goes, it's a really interesting question. Will someone hear it one way or the other? And that's a really interesting question. I don't know. I guess it's not a continuation. So I guess maybe the options are a significant break or continuation. And it's kind of neither. It's the olllam, but it's not.
I think
you go, John.
I think the olllam has a definite sound. You know, we have something that we do, and I think there's no getting away from that. You know what I mean? And we shouldn't try and get away from that, because I think it's great what we do. So I mean, it's definitely a continuation. I think there's definitely, but it's we're trying to say something different with what we have. That's all. That's what I would say. You know?
Yeah. And yeah, because in a way, I mean, yeah, we're using all the same instrumentation. We're actually using the same drum set. But then on top of that, like, you know, I think we've all improved at our craft since 8 years ago. You know, I mean, that's the idea, anyways, for musicians, is to like keep getting better. You know, and I think like having the first album as a base to work from kind of like informed for me like how to play the music on the second album like better in a way. You know what I mean? Like the character, I already know, now I know kind of the character of what we kind of sound like, you know, and so we can use that to explore that and make that character even more in depth, you know. So I think it I just think it's like we're better musicians and better like writers now.
I think for the next album, we should all swap each other's instruments.
Yeah.
And see what happens.
Album 3.
Obviously, Dart on cajon. We got to get Dart on cajon. Yep.
Yeah,
naturally.
There was a question about that since you made that comment last time. Is there a recording or footage of Dart on the cajon? And you know, I don't think there is. That's usually, you know.
Yeah. Maybe
gotta be there.
Maybe this album is like it's like the first album was Harry Potter as a kid, and now Harry Potter's hit puberty. You know.
Yeah, definitely growing up. Yep. So. Yeah. Well, so I was just notified that regarding the Kickstarter, before we bring in our guest here, the Kickstarter, we have 15 days to go. It's amazing, and I'm looking at the numbers here. We're 78% funded, and 562 people have backed it, which is
amazing,
epic,
freaking incredible. Yeah, thank
you,
amazing, thanks everybody. So if you haven't yet, go on there and check that out. It's we're just I'm speechless. Even when when we had our last live stream, that was like hours after we launched it, and so at that point had no idea that we'd be in this place we are today. You know, so
amazing.
But we still have a ways to go. So please feel free to share it with your friends, and help us get there. We're almost there, but we're not there yet. And I'm not sure. Many people don't know with Kickstarter, if the goal is not met, then none of the money like we don't get any of it. So it's very important to meet the goal.
It would be really nice. It would be really nice.
Otherwise, all we'll be left with are these recordings of these live streams, and no one wants just that.
Yeah.
So yeah. I think it's time to bring our friend in here. We had some technical difficulties with him last time, so we figured it was only right to bring him back. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Hedinga in the house.
New Joe.
What's up?
Awesome.
What's up? How we doing?
Got the Joes back.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, Joe.
How's it going?
Going good, man. Love those cans, dude.
He's not taking any chances this time.
These are the cans Tyler told me to get for mixing, and I love them. So they're the ones I go with now all the time.
Shout out to Jake Birch. Jake told me about him.
Jake Birch.
Yeah.
Love Jake Birch.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Well, so Joe, where are you today?
I'm at my home in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And
Cool.
this is my little space that I use to produce music and make a lot of music. And got 2 kids at home, although they are not here today. They're up at the in-laws cottage, where I was last time. If anyone was with us last time, I know you couldn't hear anything I said, so I'm at home.
You know they're not watching this right now because they don't have the internet connection to do it.
No.
Yeah, exactly. No, they're not.
Sorry, just kidding.
Yeah. That's all good.
Yeah. So you've been you're producing some albums yourself at the moment, right?
I am. Yeah. I was the chief engineer at a studio for 5 years or so recently, and stopped doing that to produce full time for projects that I've been thrilled doing it, and I think it's exciting. It's an exciting time. So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to, because we didn't really get a chance to hear a lot of it last time.
Mm-hmm.
When you came in to record this album, it was kind of like the countdown till lockdown, right?
Yes.
You basically had to come in and do like a boot camp of recording, didn't you?
Yeah, we knocked out all the keys parts. I believe, Tyler, did I play all, or was there one that you ended up laying down after I left? I don't remember.
We did 4 of the 7.
4 of the 7.
Yeah, but each of these tunes are like 9 minutes long, so that's like it's really like 8 songs,
Yeah, right.
Normal
Wow, we did
life.
4 songs in 3 days. That's crazy. Yeah, it was just like crazy. We went from, I don't know, I believe about 10-hour sessions, and then I'd go back to where I was staying at Airbnb, and it was right at the beginning of COVID, so we were going to be on lockdown within days. And we weren't even sure I would be able to come to Ann Arbor to do it. And it was a freaky time. And even staying, I remember at that Airbnb, I was so nervous to go in there.
Yeah.
Been sanitized and all that, but I was still freaking. But anyway, I did it. And I stayed there, and Tyler had actually all the scores for the music. So Tyler told me to thank my former self for learning to read music, which I did, and it helped a lot. I mean, those scores, I think some of them were up to 30 pages long, or 20 something, pages. And it was shedding at night for 3 or 4 hours after a 10 or 12 hour day.
So you were in the studio, and then you were going back and practicing the stuff that you were going to do.
That's right.
That's
what
Sounds a lot like the Olllam tour that you did.
Yes, exactly. Lots of practicing the first Olllam tour as well, between all the craziness. Yeah, gosh, it's just beautiful music, and I can't imagine enjoying anything more. I remember back to my college days, playing lots of Chopin and Debussy and all kinds of hard classical works, and how thrilled I was to work on all that music and have the time and space to do it. And I am now thrilled once again to be able to have such amazing music to work on. So thank you, Tyler, and all of you really. I know, Tyler, you spent a lot of time developing the parts, and they're just gorgeous, and it was super fun to dig in. So yeah.
Well,
it was a trip.
Yeah, it was amazing to watch, because I mean, I'm in a weird predicament where I know how to write music, but I can't read it. really worth a damn. And it's like just watching a magic show for me, like seeing Joe just lay out all these pages on the rows and just being like, oh yeah, that's like that. I'm just like, oh my God.
Wow. You know, it's funny.
It's just like instant. It just goes bing. It's whoa.
Yeah. No, totally. It took a long time because actually I wasn't a good reader either, Tyler. I learned to play by ear completely in jazz improvisation in particular. I transcribed and played lots of jazz solos myself. And then writing those out is when I really learned to read the best. I had to learn by ear and write it out, and I did that all through college for a long time.
You're saying transcribing like recorded solos,
right? Singing it enough to get it in my head and understand what it is, and then write it out is where I started to things started to click.
That's how you that's what I learned in music school too. It's like that's how you really just like assimilate. You eventually by copying someone, then you just end up kind of assimilating that.
Yeah.
And then it becomes part of your vocabulary that you can use or draw from.
Right. Right. And the olllam now really has become one of those things because I feel like I've learned it and been able to play the parts really exactly how Tyler's envisioning them in a way that has gotten me deeper with it. Right. And like just kind of it's almost become a part of me now, and it has become a part of my musical language and just almost like my soul music connection. It's like something is there that was not there before, and that's really awesome.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yep. And then you and Tyler have been working together like on or like May Erlewine is another common person that you both collaborate, both play keys with.
Yeah, Love May. Actually, in the top 10 albums question, I know I'm not going to answer that right now, but one of them I probably would have Mother Lion, May Erlewine, Mother Lion on that list. And Joe played bass on it, and Tyler produced it, or Tyler and May, I don't remember. But if anyone hasn't heard it, check it out. I love it.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a fun record to record.
Yep.
So, that was a boot camp too. We don't have to go into it, but holy shit. Yeah.
It's kind of rare that you get a luxurious stay in the studio. You know what I mean? A lot of times it's like you got to go in there and get the job done. So but so speaking of top 10, I'm curious to hear what John McSherry's top 10 albums are, because I have a feeling it's going to be, which is part of I think the magic of our chemistry. It's going to be a completely different angle.
Totally different.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go. No particular order.
No particular order.
Planxty. I grew up, and this was hard to make a choice as well. But Planxty for me, I discovered Planxty when I was about 7 or 8 years old, and fell in love with the pipes. That's how I fell in love with the pipes. Lemo Flynn playing the pipes, and but so I had to pick one of their albums, and it is After the Break, which is a fantastic album. So if you want to check that out, and you'll love it. It's fantastic. Another one is Nick Drake, Pink Moon. One man and his guitar.
Incredible.
Incredible album. It's otherworldly. It takes you to a totally different place. And I first discovered him, I think, when I was about 18, 19. And it changed everything for me when I heard Nick Drake.
Big influence on the olllam too, I think. I feel like Nick Drake's a pretty present influence for us.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That acoustic guitar. Yeah.
Absolutely. And his voice, it resonates, his voice. Then the Bothy Band, of course, the Bothy Band, Irish traditional music plugged in, It's like people described it as Irish traditional punk music, So that was from the 70s. So that changed my life as well. Then Breton music as well. We have there's a band that Jean-Michel used to play in called Guerts. No, sorry, it wasn't Jean-Michel. It was Jackie Millard, fantastic fiddle player from Brittany. And this band is called Guerts. And
what is it?
GWERZ, Guerts.
Okay. Yeah.
And phenomenal music. And that's when I first heard the bombards and the benyus.
Yeah.
Which is a form of pipe which you blow in. They're phenomenally loud, but the sound, yeah, they're definitely for outdoors. But it blew me away. Just hearing that, it's just there's something about the sound of the two of them together, and that album just epitomizes everything about Breton music, and it's just beautiful. And then we have Matt Malloy, the wonderful flute player, traditional flute player, Matt Malloy. His very first album, the Black Album, which is called, it's just genius music. A new way of playing flute. He just brought it in, and a new style of playing into Irish music. And that was around 1975, 76. So, and then Paul Brady. Everybody knows Paul Brady here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's not his one of his rock albums. This is obviously it's his trad album that I fell in love with.
Oh, I love that one.
Yeah, You're Welcome Here, Kind Stranger. Fantastic album. The sound of the mandolins and the bouzouki and his voice, just and the way he sings and the way he phrases the words and articulates everything. It's just phenomenal. Another Breton band, Skaduz. Just wonderful, groovy, fantastic grooves on this. This is kind of a band from the 90s and 2000s, I think. Phenomenal music, Breton again, very influential. And who else we got? Did I say Paddy Keenan, Paddy Glacken?
Nope, not yet.
Yeah, just a beautiful, dirty and raw duet album of pipes and fiddle. Can't beat it.
Boom.
Just
Awesome.
boom,
Yeah.
bang.
Yeah.
And that's it. And one last one, of course, Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
If I was like, when is it going to happen?
You
I'm
don't
like,
say.
Now, which album?
yeah,
John?
which one? This had to hurt.
I know, it really did. It killed me, this one. I only picked one as well. I couldn't believe it. Physical Graffiti.
You picked a double album. That's cheating.
I went for the double album, yep. I had to get what a phenomenal, just everything about rock is written in that album. And anything you want to know about rock, it's there on that album. You know? So
amazing, man.
So that's mine, yeah. And one more, sorry, about left. Jean-Michel Villon.
Who you mentioned earlier.
Nizan. That album is just a fantastic trancey kind of ambient album.
Awesome.
With full of Breton tunes, and it's beautiful.
That's really that's great, man. We'll post like a written list of these too later online, so people who aren't familiar with them can check them out.
Get a Spotify playlist going. Maybe I got to check out John's albums.
Yes.
Yeah. Totally. Yep. Also, we just passed the 30K mark on Kickstarter. So amazing!
Thank you
all so much.
Yeah,
amazing.
Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, we've got some people. Let's see. I see Catadeus pledged. Thank you, Catadeus. Thank you, Ryan, for getting a CD. Yeah, we're getting towards the finish line, but we still have a ways to go. Of course, I think typically with Kickstarter, like the middle period is the toughest time, So thank you all for your help so far, and we'll keep going with it. So let's see.
What do you think? Do we have time for a question and then Joe Dart's top 10? I mean, what do we do here?
I think we have let's see where we'll publish the list probably both on Facebook and Instagram, and then we'll have like Joe suggested, maybe we can make the Spotify playlist.
There's a good question here in from Martin Laird, and he asked from myself and Tyler about how do we find like the transition from pipes to whistles? The different fingering and different usage of scales and all that kind of stuff. He just wants to know how moving onto the pipes, how is it different? Tyler, do you want to start that?
Well, I started with playing the pipes before I started playing the whistle, and so I think the pipes are a more involved situation with these things. because you're not blowing, and all the stuff that's happening is with your fingers, all the phrasing. So it's kind of like double deep. But thankfully, because I started on the pipes, that made it easier for me to like now transition back and forth. But I should say, you know, if I haven't played the pipes in a while, it's obvious, and it takes a moment to kind of sink back into it. But once we're like on the road and playing every night, it becomes like second nature and feels great. It's awesome to go between them because the pipes have a kind of like electric kind of buzzing feel to them. The chanter vibrates and makes your fingers kind of zzz with it, and it feels amazing. And the whistle, you have a really smooth, mellow sound and more, you know, kind of breath control and stuff. So yeah, it's really fun to go between them.
Yeah.
What about you, John?
Agree. Yeah, I would agree. And as well, it's I think there's different fingers that we have for each instrument. Like we on the pipes, we do our C naturals slightly different, and we do our A's different. I think, but once you get playing the instruments over time, that you won't even notice the difference. You know, you won't even notice transitioning from one instrument to another. It's just it'll be ingrained in you after playing it for so long. So don't worry about that, Martin. Whatever you do, you know.
Wow.
Cool.
Joe Dart, have you ever tried playing the uilleann pipe?
Oh my God, no! I'm so afraid of those things.
Oh man,
I always feel like I don't want to come too close, you know.
Yeah, I think I strapped it on once backstage somewhere, and
and what about the uilleann pipes?
It was bad, man. It was not good. Yeah,
amazing.
It was a bad scene backstage that day, man. I saw a question. I can't find it, but this is a quick question for both the Joes. But we'll start with you, Joe Het. New Joe. The question was, how is playing the olllam music different from other projects you've played in previously?
Very, very interesting question. Thanks for that. Well, I suppose a lot of the things I've done previously had a little bit of leeway in a way to like being able to kind of just feel it and do something in the moment. I'm a person that's kind of drawn towards creating something in the moment, and I think with this music, it's just so well thought out and composed that every part. I think Joe Dart said something about this last time, maybe, but that it's just so beautiful that it's got to be exactly how it should be. One of the things that I have really loved to think about while playing this music is just like the balance between, because I mean for keys, the balance between the chords and where the weight goes in those chords, if all the notes are even, or if the melody on the top has to be louder on one chord and the next one, maybe one of the color tones comes out more. So just kind of a balance thing has been really good to think about, as well as releases. I was in choir for a long, long time, and in choir, releases are like so important, right? That everyone releases at the exact same time, and a lot of times it's on an E or an of a beat or some weird place. And it's a lot of the time is the same with this music, and the bass and keys a lot of times release at exactly the same point, or you know the transitions are really tight that way. So it's been really cool to kind of get in there and think about that. And when it happens, which on tour last time it did happen every night. You know, I felt it, like the connection between when the full thick Rhodes chord and the bass stop at exactly the same point over and over again. You stop thinking about it, and it becomes that kind of repetitive thing that you forget about because it's just like there and consistent and super solid. But yeah, so those are two things I just had to really think about playing the parts exactly and dialing them in a lot, and I love it.
That's awesome. That's great, and like that reminds me. That kind of leads into this other question that I can't find it on the list right now, but someone asked it last time as well regarding the actual harmony, the chords that are being played. I mean, they're very specific. Like the question was basically how do you go about composing the harmony, when you're writing these parts. So Tyler, can you run with that for a minute? I mean, maybe.
Sure. I mean, I just my goal is to just kind of make the tunes sound like a song, feel like a song, and make it so it feels like when you hear the chords. And if you took you heard the chords with the melody, and if you took the chords away, you couldn't imagine the melody without the chords. Like I want them to feel like one blended single identity. So I'm always writing with that goal in mind. And so there's like a melodicism and like a hook to the chords and the harmony itself. That's kind of tying the whole thing together. So I usually sit there at the keys or the guitar and sing the melody like a song and just try to find the chords that make me feel like that makes it feel like a good song. Until I land on something that feels like memorable and makes the whole thing feel like it has an identity and creates a world and a feeling that I feel excited to explore further.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, and from personal experience, Tyler is a harmonic, genius. And we'll be, when we're kind of writing this stuff, yeah, you'll a lot of times you'll be sitting at the keys and I'll just kind of be like standing next to you and you're singing the melody and playing the chords. And once we find an actual progression that we dig, then we kind of refine the voicings, you know, and like, which is like, so I think such a like unspoken or like subtle part of our sound. Like Joe, what you were just saying, how each voice has a very specific, release or it's all got a very specific purpose.
There's no room to hide in the olllam.
No.
And it's
no room for any
room to hide. Well, you have to, like, one of the things Tyler and I worked on a lot in recording was the timbre of the roads, how much you're digging in, because I mean you're going to get there's so much variation, even though it's subtle variation, I suppose, for people that might just hear it, but it's really there are big differences in the timbre and tone of it depending on your velocity. So
yeah.
Well,
dude, thanks a lot, Joe. Thanks for sharing your time with us, my friend.
Hey, you're welcome. I'm pleasure to do it.
Yeah.
Thank
so
everyone for contributing.
Yeah. That was great, man. Really cool to hear that insight on your playing on this stuff. So, and you guys will hear what he's talking about.
Sure. Yes, I'm so excited.
All right, man. Well, we'll talk soon.
All right.
And thanks for joining us and have fun in the studio today.
Yeah, thanks. Take care, everyone.
Bye, Joe. Bye, Joe. All right. I think he totally redeemed himself. All right. So I think it's time. We don't have a whole lot of time. This is like time flies when you're having fun, but
we have Joe's top 10 to get to.
We have to get to Joe's top 10.
We saved it for last.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
We did. So
people on the edge of their seats.
Really quick, I'd like to just throw a quick thank out to Brad Kuykendall for contributing to our Kickstarter during this live stream here.
Thanks, Brad.
Brad, hope you're doing well, man. Brad used to play with Milish when Brad Phillips couldn't make it. And Suzanne Friedman, thank you, and Alekos, thank you so much for all your help.
Yeah, jeez.
So okay, with that, so Joe, would you care to enlighten us?
Sure. First, I also just want to say thank you to everyone who's contributed to the Kickstarter. Pretty incredible to watch this thing go, and
it is.
Getting this band back together, making this record, and then having people come through to help, bring it to the world. Just it's incredible. So thank you all. I got I'll do a quick little 10 record list here of albums that have been influential for me, or just have seen a lot of rotation for me over the years. Number 1, Can't Buy a Thrill, Steely Dan. Maybe my favorite record. I think I might have tried to do this in order to some degree, but when I think of my favorite bands, it's the Beatles and Steely Dan are my two favorite bands. And I guess, yeah, I really love every album from both of those artists and every song on every album. I mean, it's just those are like the two bands that I could just sit there and just go track 1, album 1, all the way through to track 10, album 10, however many records they made. And neither of those bands made very many records, and they both were kind of studio bands and made these just gorgeous, gorgeous records. So anyway, early Dan, Can't Buy a Thrill, big record for me. Number 2, Abbey Road, the Beatles. Another band that it's almost impossible to choose a record, but I had to go with one that I had on vinyl when I was in high school. I had a little record collection that I was building from garage sales, and I had both Abbey Road and also Can't Buy a Thrill on vinyl, among others. And I just remember playing them just all the time. And that's a cool record because it's side A and side B, very two different, you know.
Yeah.
Paul, John, you know, it's super cool.
And She's So Heavy ending side A. I mean, it's the most
unreal
epic side A ending of all time.
Iconic. Love every second of that record. Then I've got Songs in the Key of Life, Stevie Wonder, another artist that it's very difficult for me to pick a favorite record, but Songs in the Key of Life for me, start to finish, hugely influential. Stevie Wonder's kind of key bass, the bass work on that record, that a lot of it is him on left-hand bass, is hugely influential for me. Unbelievable start to finish. Number 4, Blood Sugar Sex Magic, the Red Hot Chili Peppers. There's a little overlap with Shimmin. Shimmin, did you say that record?
I did, yep.
Yeah, so hugely,
Sure,
I mean, I'm a huge Chili Peppers fan. Flea was my hero when I started playing bass, and when I saw Funky Monks, the documentary making of that album, I was like, that. There's the dream. There's
Same
the
here,
dream.
man.
You know, this is like, okay, cool. Holed up in Harry Houdini's mansion for a month with Rick Rubin, living together and making this incredible album.
Yeah.
Blew my mind. Number
incredible documentary too. If any
truly.
Red Hot Chili Pepper fan of that album needs to see that.
Yeah, I mean, a big part of the reason I feel comfortable playing in the Olllam is because Mike Shimmin and I have such similar influences in a lot of ways, and I think Chad and Flea as a rhythm section, me and Shimmin share a true love of that rhythm section.
Absolutely.
And then number 5, Continuum by John Mayer, another huge record for me. I got into it, I think, in college or the last year of high school, and another of my favorite bass players, Pino Palladino, and another of my favorite rhythm sections is Pino and Steve Jordan. And I just think that album, it's like so stripped down, beautiful, beautiful songs, but such a just rhythm tracks, gorgeous guitar playing. And I'm a huge, that's the, I mean, could go down a rabbit hole with John Mayer. It's like, love him, hate him. You probably either love him or hate him, but I really love that album.
I kind of both, for the record.
Yeah, right. I think Tyler does both. Yeah.
Steve Jordan produced that record too, I think. Right?
Yeah.
Perfect album.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's like a modern day, like Al Green record. Unbelievable. Yeah, number 6, Deja Vu by Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. My dad got me into CSNY when I was young, and I just think from a vocal harmony standpoint, it's just really hard to beat that band and those songs, and just a cool kind of moment in time, late 60s kind of Laurel Canyon, like just encapsulated. I still love that album. Number 7, What's Going On, Marvin Gaye. Again, my my top handful of bass players, a couple of them I've already named, but another would be James Jamerson. And, that's just, that album is, maybe my favorite of the Jamerson performances. And I'm a huge Marvin Gaye fan. And that again, also just there's such a mood to that album. You know, it's like such a it's just an incredible vibe, and got a lot of play. And interestingly, when I was coming up playing bass, I wrote a fan mail letter to Flea, and Flea, I've told this story before, Flea answered me amazingly, and he said, listen to What's Going On by Marvin Gaye. You know, if you study James Jamerson, you'll be all right. So I did that. Then number 8, The Reminder by Feist. I
Nice. That's a great
listened
record.
to this album on repeat on a road trip. I was driving from Michigan to LA alone, and I just had this record going, you know, driving at night, like through the middle of the country, and it was just perfect. And I love Feist, but also the Chili Gonzalez and Maki, the whole production team. Just it's a really cool, interesting, sparse album, kind of haunting melodies. Super great record. Number 9, John, you'll like this one. Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin had to go with record number 1.
Wow!
Had to go with it. Another album that I had on vinyl, and I thought if you're gonna talk about greatest album 1 track ones of all time, Good Times, Bad Times.
Yeah,
I mean, for like when I heard that record, I had it on vinyl. I was like, wait a minute, this is how they came out of the gate. This is the first anyone ever heard of this new band called Led Zeppelin. Boom, boom, boom. I just incredible. Just so blew my little high school brain.
Oh, and then how about track 2 with the tabla acoustic guitar? Just like you thought you knew what they were going to do next. Yeah.
Freaky. Yeah. And then finally, Jamiroquai, The Return of the Space Cowboy. Another huge influence for me in high school. Stuart Zender on bass. I love pretty much every Jamiroquai album, but in particular, that, you know, Return of the Space Cowboy kind of, I think, encapsulates that acid jazz kind of sound. And
what one was that? Was that their first one or second?
No, it was their, I think, second record. I think the first one was Emergency on Planet Earth.
That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, and
I
then
remember that one.
Is that the one with the virtual insanity on it? The first one?
I was on Traveling Without Moving. That's like 95, another of my absolute favorite records. Anywho, there it is. But yeah, those are all, that's maybe just a little snapshot. I feel like those all got a lot of play for me in my teenage years. Hugely influential.
That's awesome.
Great stuff.
So hard to do those lists. I hope I'm never asked to do that again.
Yeah.
I'm excited for our Spotify playlist though. I'm gonna like really get to check out these other records and get deeper into them, which is exciting.
Yeah,
I know.
Here's a great question here from something. Does anybody know about that John Lennon had ordered a set of pipes, of uilleann pipes? Did you know that?
No.
Martin Laird is not sure if it's an urban myth or not, but I can confirm it is not. It's not a myth. It did happen.
You know this, John?
Yes. I know the people who he ordered the pipes off as well, but were the McPeaks, who were based in Belfast.
Wow.
The McPeak family, you know, the famous folk family from the 60s and 70s. And John Lennon wanted to look into his Irish heritage, and heard the uilleann pipes and ordered a set of uilleann pipes.
Epic.
And he just didn't get around to playing them. And maybe he tried them, and
he didn't go public anyway.
Yeah. So there you go.
This is harder than it looks. Eh? Yeah.
So there you go.
Great.
Well, that's awesome. We've got a couple other people to thank. Monique Olivier.
Thanks, Monique.
Siobhan Ryan.
Monique is reliable for some really funny comments. I always like Monique's comments.
Yeah, there's some amazing comments happening here.
Yeah.
Janice, thank you. Martins. And then someone I saw there, Cassie Infantino. She's pledging, but also wants to donate 100 to 2 of your biggest fans who may not be able to afford this. Thank you. So thank you for that. That's very nice of you. Very generous. So
Thank you all.
yeah, I think unfortunately we're kind of nearing the end of our time here on this, but let's see. Yeah, we're since we've been online, it's just been amazing. I mean, people are. I think we started out at like 77% funded, and we're upping that thanks to all of you guys. And so, and some people are, you can go in. We've added a couple new rewards too, like different things that we didn't have first, right? Like somehow we didn't have I think you could only get a CD and a T-shirt, but now we've got it all set up to where you can get like pretty much all the various combos of things. So, and if there's something on there, some kind of combo that we don't have listed that you want, you can send us a message through the Kickstarter, and we'll work it out. So,
we got Nigel coming in on the comments wearing my hat. Yes, I can see
See
it now.
Nigel. Yeah.
we got our
Shout out to our fearless captain, Nigel.
Yes. Yep. Our niche.
Our niche. Our fair and wise niche.
He's holding it down. He's holding it down with my cap on. I'm gonna get that from you next time I come to Ireland.
I don't know, Joe. I heard you say that you can have this hat.
I think as long as he's driving the van, he can keep my hat. That's all right with me.
Good to have terms. Good to have terms. I like it.
Well, got any other demos to share? I've been playing your last post. Tyler, do we have time to play a snip? Yeah, we're over time now, but I think let's play this little clip, and then we're unfortunately going to have to go.
Okay.
But we spent a little too much time talking, but we did have something ready to play for you guys, and we're just going to play it through Tyler's speakers in the studio.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be high fidelity. But
here we go.
You'll get the picture.
Fade.
Nice.
Awesome. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice pro fade.
It's still fading.
So, pro. It's
still going.
Still there. Still there.
Thank you, Tyler, for that.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
So that's just the first little bit. There it goes. Goes on for a while from there.
6 more minutes.
Yeah. So, yeah, I can't. I love that one. I can't wait to finish that guy up.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So, well, yeah. So, everyone, thank you so much for joining us. This has been just a lot of fun again, and just thanks for all the help you're giving us on Kickstarter. Um, it's truly humbling and overwhelming. Can't thank you enough. So, but
Thanks so
Thank
much,
you.
everyone.
Thank
Yep.
you
Yeah.
all. Thanks,
With that-
dudes, for the hang.
Yeah, John, Joe, Tyler, good to see everybody. And
Always.
I'll play us out with the new little clip that our amazing partners and team created for us that some people may have seen online already today, but it's actually another little preview of our of one of the new pieces. Actually, it's kind of what Tyler, you played a little bit of it on the last live stream, but this one has a little more video to it.
More fidelity.
So, yeah, and yeah, would like to just say thanks one more time to Martin Atkinson and to Shiva Brock for all their incredible help. They're helping us run the Kickstarter. We would not be able to do it without them. So
No, not even close.
They're really helping us out. So
we should say we have little less than 2 weeks left on the Kickstarter, so we're getting close, but we're not all the way there. So
yeah, and like we said before, it needs to get all the way there, otherwise it gets none of the way there, unfortunately. Kickstarter doesn't play, they play hardball, man.
Yeah.
They don't mess around. So, but we appreciate all the help, and we can still use all your help to share it around. So yeah. All right. So
all right.
We're gonna sign off.
Thanks, Joe.
Here's a quick little video of just a short little preview of one other piece of music, and we'll see you guys next time. All right.
Good to see you, Joe.
Bye,
Good to see you
folks.
guys.
Bye,
Miss you guys.
everybody.
Later.